Hey everyone, it's your resident bargain hunter, PB Kotaku. This time I'll be doing a figure review. It's been a while since I've done one of these, and given the state of my table, that's fairly obvious. Just give me a second to clear all this up and I'll—
3 hours later.
Anyways, it's been about 4 months since I reviewed this Turtles of Grayskull Slacker action figure, and this time I'm going to review something I found at a discount store, Raw specifically, and even more specifically, this, a Glitter and Glamours Muscle Mommy anime figure, aka Mirko from My Hero Academia. So why am I doing a review on this figure out of all the amazing things I found? Well, for one, this figure was the biggest find in this particular toy bargain hunting outing, and it just so happens that outing was my best performing one. That video's performance was instrumental in me gaining the 4,000 public watch hours needed to get my channel fully monetized, so I feel like this Mirko figure had a big part in that, and that I should acknowledge her in some way. More importantly, someone did request if I could review this figure, but it's been difficult for me to keep up with all of the footage I record and stay up to date. However, I think I did find a better balance and it should be possible for me to do some reviews again. So Manaculture 7402, sorry it took so long, but here we go. Before that, if you enjoy the content, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, and sub to the channel. Patreon and supers are also available for further support. Just like it's been a while since I last did a figure review, it's been a while since I last dished out an extended beatdown of Turd Squirrel for her crimes against me and her fellow villagers. The sound of the net landing on Ion's RBF is peak relaxation. With that out of the way, onto the review. Before we unbox the figure, let's take a quick look at the box itself. One thing I like about the Glitter and Glamours boxes is that they show off the figure at various angles so you could get a decent idea of how the latter will look. That's very helpful considering you typically can't see the figure itself when it comes to this sort of packaging, which is the norm for Crane Game price figures. The Glitter and Glamours boxes also make nice display pieces on their own, but if you didn't want them taking any space and want to throw the box away, at least cut out the side that looks like this and maybe stick it to your wall. Seems like a waste to throw out the best part of the box. I haven't mentioned this yet, but the figure costs 1,300 pennies. There was a brief period this year where My Hero Academia anime figures were 100 dimes, but as you know, all good things come to an end, and this was one of the first MHA figures to appear at 13 bucks. Now let's open this up and see if the figure is worth the price tag. The packaging is pretty much price figure standard fare. It's surrounded by an additional layer of thick cardboard, and each figure component is in separate sections in the same plastic bag. Speaking of the components, this figure only has two parts to it. First is Mirko's head with her long flowing hair, and then everything below the head. Since she's lying down, Mirko has no base, so it looks like this is going to be a straightforward assembly process. Well, that took longer than expected. It was basically 31 seconds, but I was thinking it would have taken half as long. The part that took the most time was fitting this section in Mirko's hair into the slot in her shoulder. And here we have Muscle Mommy fully assembled in her glitter and glamorous glory. Though glitter and glamour isn't the first thing that comes to mind when I think of Mirko. Everything looks good so far, but let's get a few more shots. Here's my poor attempt at getting Mirko from behind, but given the pose of the figure, I could really only get her rabbit feet and a somewhat close shot of her hair. The paint job is pretty basic, which is what you'd expect for a price figure. Nothing looks messy here, which is great, and there's some small details which I appreciate seeing in price figures. What am I talking about? The metallic paint on her foot guard things. Here's a side rear-ish view for all of you to enjoy. Again, I'm really impressed with how neat the paint job is. There's no mess around her thigh highs, her waistband looks clean, and can we get a shout out for the definition on those arms of hers? There's a reason why people call her Muscle Mommy after all. Continuing with the superb paint job, that is further exemplified with Mirko's hair. You can easily make out individual strands, there's no splotches of paint, and it doesn't look like a bunch of wet overcooked noodles covered in Alfredo sauce. You don't even need to zoom in to really see what I'm talking about. Okay, maybe a little bit. How's that? Happy now? Aren't Mirko's bunny ears cute? Quite a contrast from her otherwise fierce aura, isn't it? Now for some angles that won't be seen very often due to the nature of this figure. First, the view from above. Everything looks good from here, can't really identify any mess. Her little poof on her butt looks fine, her waist guard looks great from here, and for the most part, the area where the white and purple paint on her one piece is very solid. This portion of the figure is not something you will ever really see unless you place Mirko on a clear shelf that's well above eye level, or you put her on a glass table and you purposely lie under said table. I see one area where Bandai let the paint slip up a bit, and it's that yellow strand on her chest. Given that it's part of the figure that's not meant to be seen, that QC issue can be easily forgiven. And uh-oh, I found another issue. Someone lost their concentration a bit and made a small white paint mess on the right side of Mirko's gluteus maximus. And that wasn't it. This might take a little zooming in to see, but there was a bit of a mess on Mirko's left foot in between the foot guards. Honestly, these are non-issues because these are the sort of things that one should expect on an affordable price figure. Although there were some issues, none of them happen at the places that matter. Mirko's face, for example, no QC issues on her face and she looks perfectly fine. No complaints here. Be a little careful with their eyelash things though. They're flexible and soft, so don't tug on them or they could rip off. Oh, there's a little mistake going on there. I'll just pretend that isn't there. One other downside is that Mirko's resting hand and her hair are not exactly flush on a hard flat surface, so it looks like those parts are floating. This, however, can be remedied if you put her on a soft, cushiony surface, like a small decorative pillow. If you look at Mirko from the front, which is the angle any normal collector would want to do, you won't see her floaty hair at all. If she's placed slightly below eye level, her equally floaty hand won't be visible. But really, the optimal viewing height for her is eye level, so I think the cushion/pillow route is the way to go. So when I use this rotating display thing, I usually get full 360 shots of the figure, but that typically works on figures that are upright. It's hard to do with a figure that's lying down, unless I find a way to stand it up. And I guess that'll have to do. Looks pretty ridiculous, doesn't it? Well, I guess some figures simply shouldn't be seen from certain angles, especially if they're not meant to be viewed in such ways. Oh, and can we get a good laugh at how flat the bottom of this figure is? Man, that's flatter than the Bonneville Salt Flats. Overall, I think this is a very decent price figure and it's worth the $13 price tag I paid for her. I would say this is better than most price figures, and being that this is the second Glitter and Glamours figure I opened, the first one being Ulti a year back or so, it seems like Glitter and Glamours figures are on the better end of price figure quality. Mirko's not super detailed, but that's not what we're paying for. It's simplicity over quality. She'll take up a bit of surface area due to her pose, but if she's going in a shelf, she's best placed at the front where she won't obscure figures that are behind her. I only ever saw this once at Ross, so it seems like it was a rare find. I don't know if this will show up at Ross again, and unfortunately, she's not really available anywhere else outside of eBay, and the lowest available listing for her is nearly 200 quarters. If you want her right now, you'll have to shell out the dough. Well, I think she's worth 13 bucks, and I would even say she's worth $20 to $25. I would not pay 50 smackers for this figure. She's available at AmiAmi for 4,480 yen, but that's not inclusive of shipping and tariffs. If you're a hardcore Mirko enjoyer and want this figure, you might just have to suck it up and fork over the big monies. And that does it for the review. Again, for 13 clams, this is perfectly fine. I'm sure a lot of you are well aware that the cost of anime figures has been rising dramatically at discount stores, but for the most part, MHA figures are still $13. Although, I have seen an Amazing Heroes Muscle Mommy Mirko anime figure for 1,800 pennies, which sucks. I expect prices to increase further as we approach Red Table season, and if this happens to make it to discount stores again, expect Mirko to be more than 13 buckaroos. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, sub. If you're able to use the hype feature, I'd appreciate one of those as well. If you'd like to provide further support, Patreon's down low, or you could throw a super at me. Finally, if you have some more time on your hands, check out some of my toy bargain hunting videos, and I'll see you there. If not, I'll see you later.